It's not complicated. It's as simple as 2 words. All right, here we go. I got 2 words for you today. 2 words, here they are. No pressure. No pressure. Got a question for you today. Here it is. If you could live, lead, and compete with no pressure, would you? Now hear me, this is not a trick question. If you could live life, lead people, and compete with no pressure, would you? And I gotta feel like the answer is yes, because I hear often how you talk about the consequences of pressure in your life, just how heavy it is, the pressure of leadership, the pressure that comes from being a student athlete and competing in front of your community, and the expectations that come from your coaches and from your parents. I hear you talk a lot about feeling overwhelmed, run down, and feeling the pressure. So if I offer you a way to live, lead, and compete with no pressure, I gotta believe that you're gonna take it, right? Of course you would. And so I have good news for you today, that you can live, lead, and compete with no pressure if you choose. If you simply make a choice, all pressure can disappear. You go, how? Because you see, pressure is a product of believing your best is not enough. That when you believe your best on the field, your best in the classroom, your best in life is not enough, then the fear of the consequence of falling short gets placed on your shoulders. When you believe that your best is not enough, the pressure that comes from people's expectations on your performance, your expectations on your performance, gets really, really heavy, and you get strapped into this roller coaster that takes you up and down and up and down. And when your performance is good, you feel great. But when any little thing goes wrong, you rocket to the bottom and you feel the pressure of it all. And it gets really, really difficult to live and to lead and to compete and to find any joy in your sport, to find any joy in your abilities and in your talents. And you start looking at your influence like it's a burden. You start looking at the things you have achieved as like, man, I wish I would have underachieved a little bit so I wouldn't be given more and more pressure. You see, friends, when you choose to believe that your best is enough, and then you do the work of actually doing your best, the consequence of fear and reward disappear. The pressure gets turned off, because even though someone may expect something of you, you can look them in the eye the same you can look yourself in the eye and know by your integrity you did your very best in your preparation, in your execution. You gave the best you could give in that moment. And so anybody else can think anything they want to think, because you can lay your head on your pillow with peace at night because you know you gave your best. Now, I know that as I start saying this, it sounds like I'm making excuses for you to not win. It sounds like I'm making excuses for you to not push yourself. And that's not the case at all. Because to genuinely give your best requires that you push yourself such that you fall short and fail so that you can grow. To genuinely give your best requires both emotional and mental and physical pushing of yourselves to the limit. And when you push yourself to the limit, you can't help but get better. You can't help but perform at your best. To give your best requires that you prepare. The 5 P's, prior preparation permits proper performance. To give your very best requires the intangibles of being coachable, of holding yourself accountable, of being willing to sacrifice, of giving great effort, of being a person of excellence both on and off the field. To genuinely give your best at something requires all of you, not 90% of what you got, but 100% of what you got. And when you get in the rhythm and the habit day in and day out of giving 100% of what you got, that is hard. And when you work hard at the hard things, you can't help but get better. And the better you get, the better chance you have at winning. Understand that giving your best is not a consolation prize. Giving your best is the standard. And when you genuinely do this and believe it is enough, the weight is lifted of all of the stories, of all of the fear, of all of the potential reward, of all of the expectations of other people. Because when you give your best, no one can hold you to a higher standard than your best. No one can expect more of you than your best. Now, I can already hear you protesting, going, but Mac, but what if my best isn't enough? There are going to be people who are going to be loud, and they're going to point fingers, and they're going to laugh, and they're going to criticize. What do I do about those people, about that pressure? You know, when I think about that, I'm reminded of the words of President Teddy Roosevelt in a speech he gave called The Man in the Arena. And I'm going to read this to you as a way of encouraging you to believe, to choose that your best is the standard. Your best is enough. And when you do, the pressure disappears as you step into the arena and give your best. It's not the critic who counts, not the men who point out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. You see, when you dare greatly, when you get in the arena and you get the dust and the mire on your face and you know the high achievement and you know what it's like to fail greatly, when you get in the game, you know that your best is enough. And you know that there is no pressure. You get in the flow. You get in the game and you live, lead, and compete without pressure. You live, lead, and compete by giving your best. So listen to me, friends. I don't know your goals or dreams, big or small, short-term or long, but I do know this, that if you want to find success in the game of sports, in the game of life, well, it's not complicated. It's as simple as two words. You got to choose no pressure. Let's have a good one today.